It's time now for a look latest in local news. In the news, Jesup Police Department investigating a Tuesday evening shooting on South Bamboo Street as a man was shot walking in the neighborhood. Police Chief Perry Morgan says Alakai Mack was shot in the leg walking across the street to residence at 312 South Bamboo Street. Police are asking if anyone knows about the shooting to call the Jesup PD at 427-1300. Again, Mack was able to call 911 for assistance after being shot. He was taken to Wayne Memorial Hospital. Once again, the shooting is still under investigation. If anyone knows anything about the shooting, they have to call the Jesup PD at 427-1300. Jesup City Commissioners met Tuesday for the regular monthly board meeting, and Commissioner Bill Harvey had good news regarding the pool at Cracker Williams Rec Center. The pool is going to be built, and a new pool will be at the center before the end of the year and possibly by summer. Harvey says they had a meeting with a new contractor and engineer, and the cost is within budget, a little over $200,000, which the city has that $100,000 matching grant. That's good as long as the money's spent by December. Harvey called it great news. Says they can start work on the pool today. The city's planning a retreat where the pool will be one issue of discussion as well as other issues. But again, good news. City is just moving forward with the pool project at Cracker Williams Recreation Center. The new estimated cost, a little over $200,000. That's a far cry from the previous estimated $800,000 to $1 million. Asked last night, what's the difference in the price? The answer, a new engineer and a new contractor. So with the $100,000 grant and the matching $100,000 funds from the city, which is in the budget for the pool, work on the pool expected to begin immediately, as they gave the city manager Rose Marcus to go ahead last night to start moving ahead with that pool project at Cracker Williams. Speaking of Rose Marcus, city manager announced that Rhonda Tillman has been chosen as new city clerk treasurer. She was on hand last night, welcomed by the mayor and the commission. City awarded the LeMig contract to Georgia Asphalt that cost $213,042.62. Part of that project will be to restripe Orange Street. Commissioner Tim Cockfield says that the city and county are making progress with the agreement with the county on the fire service. Cockfield says there are some language issues in the contract that he wants Attorney Michael Connor to go over, and with his help. But Cockfield says the ball is rolling in the right direction. He says the county wants to work with the city and get an agreement on fire protection done. Commissioners decided to go back to having 2 meetings a month. Financials will be on the agenda for the second meeting of the month. Both meetings will be held at 7 p.m., both at City Hall. Again, the city will go back to meeting on the first and third Tuesday of every month. Again, both meetings at 7 p.m. Commissioners approved the purchase of a fire truck for Fire Chief Josh Huffman. The cost $425,000. Under board appointments, the mayor appointed Alan Brown to the Grievance Committee, replacing Joe Arati. Ray House and Pamela Schuman appointed to the Pension Committee. Sharon Corson appointed to the Tree Board Committee, replacing Carol Keith. District 3 Grievance Board appointment tabled once more. Commissioner Tim Cockfield says we'll have that appointment at the next City Council meeting. And that's a look at your Tuesday City Council meeting from last night. We'll be back with more news after this word from our sponsor of the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Governor Brian Kemp in town this past Friday to meet and greet at Scriven City Hall. On Tuesday, we heard some of his comments. Today, we conclude with the remainder of his comments this past Friday at Scriven City Hall.
15 broadband announcements after we passed SB2. The first session I was in office with the late, great Jig Powell's leadership. 15 rural broadband announcements. We got over 200,000 Georgia families that are either hooked up to high-speed fiber or will be within the next year or two. And we have more of that coming. So we are continuing to fill our commitments on rural Georgia, including the strike team that Brian Marlowe's heading up now. He's working every day in rural Georgia on jobs, economic prosperity, innovation, and opportunity. And we're going to continue to do that. We also now have been ranked as the #1 state in the country for election integrity. And despite what you may hear from others around the country, including the president, in Georgia, it's easy to vote and hard to cheat. And that's what Republicans want. We're going to have a great session this year, especially for rural Georgia when you think about the money that we're funding back to K through 12 education, our technical colleges, and our higher education systems, pay raises for state employees, but especially for law enforcement and our correctional officers and others, so we can compete with the private sector, lessen our turnover. But this is going to be a great year economically in our state, and it's all because we opened. You know, I always have people talk to me about Texas and Florida. And I'll remind people, the Braves beat the Astros in the World Series. And how about them dogs? But I will tell you, our unemployment rate is the lowest of the 10 most populous states, including Texas and Florida. And you know, here in Georgia, we never closed our state parks. We never closed our beaches. So even during the pandemic, if you wanted to get your kids out, get them some exercise, if you wanted to go fishing, if you wanted to go walk on the beach or fishing on the beach or in the ocean, if you wanted to visit a state park or go hiking or climbing up in the mountains, you could do that in the state of Georgia. Every other state around us at some point in time had their beaches and their state parks closed. I never really understood that when they were telling us to social distance. What better place to social distance than walking on the beach? That's right. But I'm just saying. But that is the kind of freedom and liberties that we're going to continue to have, including supporting the Second Amendment here in our state. We're going to get constitutional carry passed this year because it's a public safety issue. When we have local governments, especially in some of our more progressive cities around the state that won't process weapons carry licenses, it's time for us to pass constitutional carry. All the bad guys have guns. It's time to give our citizens the opportunity to protect and defend themselves. Yes. And we're going to continue to do that. So with that, I'm going to close and just tell you that, look, we are in the fight for a fight for the soul of our state. We need y'all in the fight with us. I hope you'll join us. You know, we got a primary in May. We got to beat Stacey Abrams in the general election so we can keep our state moving in the right direction, not the wrong direction like we're seeing in Washington, D.C. with the disaster at the border, 39-year high inflation, disastrous pull out of Afghanistan, more rules and regulations, not less, more taxes, not less, like we're going to do in the state of Georgia this year and that we did last year. I would remind you, for Georgia families, and we need y'all in the fight with us. You can join us at BrianKemp2022.com. We got the guys here. We got stickers, signs, just anything you're willing to help us with. We appreciate it. I again just want to thank the local elected officials that are here and the community leaders and just all of you. Our folks have been so resilient in Georgia, and we're going to continue to be that way. And it's great to be back. God bless you.
And once again, those are some of the comments Brian Kemp made in the event at Scriven this past Friday, again at a meet and greet. Again, he's seeking re-election as governor of the state of Georgia. The primaries in May. Has opposition on his own party ticket as both David Perdue and Vernon Jones on the Republican ballot. Winner of the Republican Party face off with Democratic candidate for Governor Stacey Abrams. 4 years ago, Brian Kemp defeated Stacey Abrams in a close vote across the state. Two most likely headed to round two in November this year. Latest polls show Brian Kemp with a big lead over his Republican opponents. Another political race is the race for U.S. Senate. Herschel Walker in the latest poll has him getting roughly 80% of the Republican vote as he's in the primary against Agriculture Commissioner Gary Black, an Air Force veteran and businessman owner Kelvin King, and former Navy SEAL Latham Sadler. Fundraising figure shows Walker raised roughly $5.4 million, while his best-known rival Gary Black raised $440,000. Sadler raised $600,000. Sadler states that his campaign across the state has never seen Herschel at any events. They state they had the first debate in Pickens County. Herschel was a no-show. Gary Black's spokesman says Herschel has been hiding from questions, and he says the reason is simple. He says when Herschel gives an answer to a question, it's like a car wreck and a dumpster fire happening simultaneously. Despite the criticism, Herschel continues to raise more money and leads in the polls by a huge margin. Again, the winner faced off against Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock. Federal judge on Monday rejected a plea deal for the man found guilty of murdering Ahmaud Arbery just 1 week before he was scheduled to stand trial for federal hate crimes. During a court hearing in Glenn County, U.S. District Judge Lisa Godby Wood accepted a guilty plea by Travis McMichael to a hate crimes charge. The agreement would have locked her into sentencing McMichael and his father, who was supposed to plead guilty next week to 30 years in federal custody. But after hearing from Arbery's parents, Wood refused to accept the terms of the agreement. She then gave Travis McMichael and his father until Friday of this week to decide whether they want to continue to enter their guilty pleas or to stand trial, which is set for this coming Monday. Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, says the family wants no part of the plea deal. She says granting these men preferred conditions of confinement will defeat her and her family, and says gives the McMichaels a last chance to spit in her face after murdering her son. If the McMichaels agreed to go through with the guilty pleas, Wood would be able to fashion the punishment as she sees fit. As for the recommended 30 years, she says it could be more or it could be less. Plea deal would allow the McMichaels to spend the first 24 years in custody, getting some time shaved off for good behavior in federal prison. Then they would be transferred to state prison. Albury family wants the McMichaels to spend the entire sentence in state prison. Jason Sheffield, who represents Travis McMichael, says any assertion that spending time in federal prison is a good deal is simply absurd. He says anyone who thinks spending time in federal prison is better than state prison simply hasn't spent any time in prison. Once again, the McMichaels have until this Friday to plead guilty or head to trial on Monday. We'll be back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor, other commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes and news. A reminder, the Wayne County Commissioners set to meet on Monday, February 7th, the meeting again at 6 p.m. at Courtroom C. Not much on the agenda. A few items under new business. Consider to approve amendment to Ordinance Chapter 6 Animals, which was tabled until their March meeting. Consider to approve Title 6 Plan for Transit. Consider to approve legislative bill for election board. Consider to approve resolution to pass local legislation to change their meeting time. Items with the administrator, items with the commissioners. Again, that's set for this coming Monday, February 7th at 6 p.m. in Courtroom C. This Friday night, the City of Jesup having their downtown Sweetheart Stroll. Again, it takes place between 5 and 8 p.m. They're going to have shopping, sweet samples, and vendors. Again, that's this Friday in downtown Jesup between 5 and 8 p.m. Wayne County Board of Tourism gearing up for the Hog Jam this month, February 18th to the 20th. Again, the statewide hunt begins at 2 p.m. that Friday on the 18th, ends on Sunday, February 20th. Online registrations open through 4 p.m. that Friday. Registration is $50 for bow or gun hunters, where hunters can pay $100 to hunt in both categories. Hunter 16 and under hunt free with a registered adult hunter. All hogs must be weighed in at J.C. Fairgrounds in Jesup, where participants can hunt anywhere in the state or any of the connecting states they have legal permission to do so. Hunters must be in line at weigh-in by 12 noon or they are disqualified. Participants are responsible for knowing the rules. Again, the registration, the rules are available online through active.com, or registration forms can be printed from the Tourism Board website at waynetourism.com. Again, the Wayne County Tourism Board's Hog Jam set for February 18th to the 20th here in Wayne County, headquarters at the J.C. Fair Building. That's going to do it for latest in local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan, have a great day.